How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Nick Krem Live. Nick Krem Live is powered by ContentCards.com. That's ContentCards with a Z.com. And with me today is the legend, Chuck Fazio. How's it going, Chuck?
Hey, Nick, how are you, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good.
Bringing it live from Rome, Italy. We're
Yeah.
here in front of the Parliament building.
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you, man, me and my wife just got here this morning, and it's just
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous right now here. Perfect
Yeah.
weather.
It looks like it's perfect weather. And I was hoping it'd be perfect weather too, because I knew you're going to be over there. And I thank you for taking time out of your vacation for this. Like you said, go big or go home, right?
Absolutely. You work hard to play hard.
Spot on. So Chuck, for people that for some reason don't know you yet, you built that 850, if not more at this point, agent single offers brokerage. You guys have done over 27,000 homes, 7 billion in sales. Those are a lot of numbers behind you. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about Chuck Fazio?
So, well, before I get going, it's always Chuck and Angela. Me and my wife do everything together, and without her, and I'll be talking about the power of who you surround yourself with in a little bit, but it is mainly that synergy that makes us radically different from anyone else. But I'm gonna go into a quick little backstory. I think it will lead into what we're looking to talk about today. So I've been up since yesterday morning at around 5 o'clock. We took it in this morning. The traffic was brutal because it was an accident. It took 2.5 hours to get from the airport. So we got in at 8:30 this morning, 2.5 hours. So we get to the hotel, and I'm like, I haven't slept in like 24 hours, and I'm like, sleep on the plane. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to crash before I got to get on this with Nick so I can break it. So we get here, and they say, oh, no, check-in time ain't till 2 o'clock. And I'm
wow.
Man. So I said, all right, man, let's go. What are we here for? You eat, you manja. And here's the cool thing, how God works. So we go to this cafe. It was about 11:30.
Okay.
And so the girl at the counter says, we don't start serving the food till 12, because out here, man, their life comes first before work.
That's a whole nother ball game. Yeah.
And then I tell you, it teaches you patience. So here's the cool thing. So we're sitting down. It's 11:30. Got a couple of beers, and about 11:45, the cooks are back there. They're making up all this cool food, and all the staff, all of them, all go back in the kitchen and walk out with a plate of food. They all sit down together, and they all eat together before they start working. And it reminded me back in New York, that's what I used to do. I mean, that's so we talk about culture. That's the Italian culture. There's a lot of cultures that are like that, where they break, and although they look at it as work, that's their family. And it's what forms this bond between people. And I said this was a great segue, because it reminded me of what me and Angela did early on in our career, which steamrolled where we're at today with a servant leadership mindset. So fast forward, we're in Arizona. We opened up the brokerage in 2005, and we said we want to do things differently. We ran one of the top teams in the country, and we said we're just gonna build something that's really cool. And but we wanted to have it where it's special, not like any other brokerage. I want to be involved. I want to try to run it like a team as best as possible. So what we started to do, our first year opening the brokerage, we grew by 70 agents in the first year.
In the first year.
So here's how we did it. And you may want to call it culture, but I just call it family. I call it servant leadership. So every month we would do a monthly office meeting. But at the office meeting, what I would do is I would do all the cooking. Angela would help me out, but I did all the cooking. So I cooked my sauce from scratch. So it was pasta, meatballs, sausage, and peppers, and me and Angela served them. And we
Hmm.
didn't do it because we wanted anything in return. We did
Yeah.
it as the culture that we wanted. So we didn't think of, wow, what effect would this have on our real estate office years later? So what
Hmm.
happened was, as we would grow every month, we wound up growing to about 200 agents. And the problem wasn't cooking the food. The
Yeah.
problem was finding a place to serve these people. So
Yeah.
yeah, I bought a sauce pot that was probably about this big on my kitchen
Yeah.
stove, and I'd be making the sauce every month, and we'd be serving our agents. And that's what started who we are today in this
Hmm.
servant leadership, creating breaking bread, forming this bond to truly say to people, this is more than real estate. You partner with us, you're part of our team, you're part of our family.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of my background, working for the mob and
Yeah.
running the thing that I took out of it, even though everything was sketchy to say the least, is you always had each other's back. There was
Hmm.
always this bond. You could always trust that guy next to you, and that type of loyalty, that type of culture, you don't see that much of that anymore. So we
Hmm.
brought all this into the workplace. So that's pretty much how we started that culture.
Yeah, no, and it was a perfect transition from what you were talking about, seeing all the cooks and everybody come out together and eat together. I'm sure that just reminded you again of exactly why you started doing this. And it's almost in your blood. You're over there in
Yeah,
Italy right now, and just seeing that culture over there, it just reminded you of exactly how you started and almost why you started it, right?
right. Yeah, and sometimes
Yeah,
we in America just we lose track because we're so just driven that we
yeah,
forget things that really matter, and
yeah,
that's why we're at where we're at, because we believe in who you surround yourself with is huge
yeah.
in what you do and grow your business.
Yeah, and so I want to take it back to when you guys went from when you guys were on your team, you and Angela, and now you guys started your own brokerage. Like, at what point did you realize that we were going to branch off and do this ourselves?
That we were going to branch off and do it ourselves, it was never in the game plan.
Yeah.
um, so you know we were broke when I moved
Hmm.
out to Arizona from New York in the end of '98. I got into real estate because I said, I want to do something where I can make a lot of money. I never even known
Hmm.
real estate in New York. Got in the business. For first 2 years of the business, I was broke.
Yeah.
I met Angela in the business. She just got in the business, and she couldn't stand me. So my first test of a good salesman was first selling her on me, and
Yeah.
I did a pretty good job of that. But
Yeah.
the answer to it, Nick, is we were broke, and I was just in survival mode, and we leaned on God, and I said, Lord, where do you guide us?
Yeah.
Because there's no way. I could just feel it in my gut. There's no way I should be failing at this. And we just put our nose down, and they said, you know what, we're going to do everything it takes to make it
Yeah.
and actually work. And we worked probably 7 days a week for 2 years straight, and we
Yeah.
went from being broke to being one of the top agents in the country, running one of the top teams. So how did I transition that to a brokerage? Well, I
Yeah.
had about 12 people on our team, and we moved from one area in Arizona to another that was probably
Hmm.
about 15, 20 minutes away. And the area we moved to was newly being built. So even the
Hmm.
freeways weren't even really out there. So we had said to the owner of the company we were at, hey, why don't you go build an office there so I don't have to commute to where I'm going now?
Hmm.
And, at the time, we were his top agents at his company, obviously at about 3,000 agents. And he said, why don't you put an office out there? And I'm like, wow, I never even thought of that. So,
Yeah.
so it's not like I'm some business-minded guru that had a perfect plan going into this. We didn't. We
Yeah.
were just workers. We put our nose to the grind, and we cared for the agents on our team, and
Hmm.
uh, and I think that's one of the biggest things we bring to the table is we truly care if somebody failed or was successful. So
Right.
the transitioning to the brokerage, quite honestly, was just in God's plan. It wasn't something that was on our radar.
Right. So yeah, and like you said, for those 2 years, working 7 days a week, putting in all those hours, that's something where everybody says they want to do it, but you guys actually went out there and did it. You hit
Oh
that
yeah,
point where you said you guys were broke, and it's like we're gonna put our nose to the ground and just work. And
yeah,
obviously, it's paid off immensely here.
yeah. That's
So
why I
so
don't I
yeah.
don't deal with too much bullshit when people say they can't. I add a little caveat in there is
Okay.
one of our kids was born, so
Oh
we did
wow.
the second year we did it with an infant,
Yeah.
and we
Oh
were
wow.
that baby was with us all the time because me
Yeah.
and Angela had never worked separately.
Yeah.
So if anybody says, "Well, I got kids" or whatever, look, you want it. There's no excuse that should get in your way.
Yeah, and especially you actually doing it with the kid. You can say that too. Like, look, I
Oh yeah,
went through it. I know some of the pains and some of the breaking points that you're probably hitting right now. I've went through it.
yeah.
So so you being a high producing agent, a lot of times it's tough for people to make that transition to passing the torch to somebody else, being able to motivate somebody to get to that next step. So how were you able to motivate other agents on your team to get to that next step?
So that's a great, because a lot of times if you're a producing agent, you
Hmm.
inherently have to have some type of a drive, and
Yeah.
and most not all, but most of the good agents are control freaks, and
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
me and Angela are control freaks. So even building the company, it's just like we did it all. We just did it all because I didn't trust anybody else. That saying, look, if you want something done, do it yourself. And
Yeah.
and I was been through multiple managing brokers, multiple recruiters, multiple.
Yeah.
It was just it was almost like every other month we were like replacing somebody else. So to
Yeah.
find staff you could trust and work with is ridiculous. And
Yeah.
I'm going to set up something that we'll talk about with the XP a little later on when
Yeah.
somebody they want to open up their own brokerage. Here's what a lot of people don't realize: the hardest part about running a company, hardest, is your staff. Is your staff. We just over the years, because we're such workers, just
Yeah.
withstood the wave of being defeated all the time by working through it until the right people came along. So
Yeah.
fast forward, how do you help other people successful? Number one is to be a good leader, you don't push. It's more like you pull, they follow. So
Yeah.
you have to relinquish some of the control that you have. And our staff mimics us now. So our staff works just like us. They know our thoughts. They know the way we act. We can go out of town. They're acting the same way we do. And that's what keeps that fantastic culture that we have.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that was a great way that you put it. The wave of being defeated, right? Like just it's gonna happen anytime you're starting your own business, anytime you're starting your own brokerage, it's gonna happen, and it comes in waves. And just withstanding the wave and just keep pushing. That's no, it's true like a test of time, right? It's gonna keep happening no matter how big you get. I'm sure it happens more often the bigger you get as well.
And it doesn't end.
Yeah.
So there's never a finishing point where you go, I arrived.
Yeah.
That never, ever. Yeah,
Yeah, and that goes with that just the internal drive, like you were talking about. You never do arrive, and it might be a little bit off-putting to some people, but it's going to keep happening. Like the waves keep coming, life keeps happening.
absolutely.
So, so I want to transition into like building a team of this magnitude. How were you able to maintain the culture when you were a smaller team as you grew?
Well, here's the crazy part. A lot of people for many years, at least our competition, would
Hmm.
use, you're just a number there. It's too big. You want a smaller, intimate company. The
Yeah.
amount of people does not create intimacy or connection.
Huh.
So the smaller the amount doesn't mean it's better if it's done correctly and if it's scaled correctly.
Right.
So the way we do it is we're very, very intentional. And that's a word that a lot of people might say, but they really don't understand. To be
Hmm.
intentional in anything is huge. You have to be so in tune and so aware. we in society just go around like robots. We're sometimes even oblivion how we got from point A to point B. If you were driving, you would go,
Mm-hmm.
"Wow, how did I get there?" That's how our minds wander. So to
Yeah.
be intentional to grow something, what that means is we had to put some certain things in place that was we're not deviating off of this to grow the culture. So some of them, one of them is no gossip. I don't allow any gossip, not only in my staff,
Yeah.
but I don't allow gossip in my workforce. Now it doesn't mean I'm a Gustavo and I go around and hear somebody gossiping. It's pick a window, it's time
Right.
to leave. You, you know, um, so we understand people are human beings, they're bad days, but
Right.
there's certain people love drama, love gossip. I don't care
Oh,
if they're
yeah.
in my team. I'd fight. They're gone. So we're
Yeah.
very intentional on that culture. We're very intentional on like-minded, positive people. It is
Mm-hmm.
huge. Here's the crazy part. It almost goes the opposite of when somebody says a smaller environment may be better than a bigger one.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a big environment that's full of positive people and positive energy, the energy in that place is just unbelievable. People walk in,
Yeah.
and the word they use all the time walking into my building, they use the
Yeah.
same word every time. Any person, they walk in and they go, it feels different in here. They don't say it looks
Yeah.
different, even though it's unbelievable looking. They go, it feels different. We as human beings, we were created to be around each other, and it's a fact. It's a scientific fact. We give off energy, and when
Mm-hmm.
you're of positive energy and you're in a place that fosters that, you can't help but go, I want to be around it. Or the
Yeah.
opposite happens. If you're just naturally a negative person, you go, I can't be around this, and you leave. And it's the
Mm-hmm.
thing, because we not only attract agents, we don't
Mm-hmm.
recruit, we attract agents, but we
Mm-hmm.
repel agents. Like they wean themselves out. So
Yeah.
when their people are leaving, it doesn't bother us. We don't go, oh my gosh, this agent left. Look at the reason. See you later. You're not meant to be in this culture. So when
Yeah.
you're intentional on doing that, and then the other thing is like I said, from the top down,
Mm-hmm.
we're always there. Well, I can't say always because I'm in Italy right now, but we're
Yeah.
there in we're there in spirit through our staff. We
Uh-huh.
train our staff that way. But when you're constantly there fostering that energy and then pulling for each other, here's what starts to happen. Then you start to watch agents pulling for each other because what they
Yeah.
do is they mimic the leadership. And when you
Mm-hmm.
mimic leadership, that's what creates this dynamic culture.
Yeah, and that's a great point that you brought up too. You not only attract the right agents when you keep the right people around, when you start off with the right culture and everybody embodies it, if you don't embody the same core values and the culture, you stick out like a sore thumb.
Oh,
And chances are they're going to weed themselves out.
oh my gosh, it's actually funny because now
Yeah.
not only does our staff, but even our agents, if somebody starts
Okay.
gossiping around them, they'll turn around and go, "Look, I can't be around this."
Yeah.
Not for the fact they don't want to say, "Well, I don't want to be around this if Chuck walks by." They just
Yeah. Yeah.
they embody that because we everybody protects that culture, and
Yeah.
it's the coolest thing. It's like like a proud dad sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can speak from that just from my experience too, like being on like sports teams and everything growing up. When you
Yeah.
had a coach that embodied the core values and the practices that he talked about, it made you want to play for that guy and it made you want to be more like that person. On the flip side, when they would just talk about it and their actions didn't show it, it spread like a cancer throughout the team.
Oh my God! And it's funny you brought up a sports analogy.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
love sports my whole life, and
yeah.
early on, I realized the concept of. I used to try to recruit. I used to play semi-pro softball, traveled all over,
Oh
and
yeah.
I used to recruit the best players from each team when I'd play against them. So I was
Yeah.
already learning how to recruit. But here's the crazy part. One year, I had the dream team. I mean,
Yeah.
from number one through 10 in the lineup were
Right.
just were rock stars, and we went to a tournament and got crushed. And we got crushed because it's not the individual talent. It's the
Hmm.
group made up of the team is what makes
Yeah.
it so powerful. And that's why a company like that takes on a life of its own, because
Hmm.
it has that type of unity and connection.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that too, because throughout my sports career, the basketball team I played with was about the same group of like 4 or 5 guys from 5th grade till our senior year in high school. And
And
I'll
you
tell you what,
probably killed it.
yeah, there were more athletic teams. There were better skilled teams, but just that core camaraderie is what got us over the edge with a lot of different people.
Absolutely.
So when you started off with this team or like your own brokerage, I'm sure 850 was that always in your head, or did the vision kind of take on a mind of its own?
Um, it's actually funny because as we grew, you
Yeah.
know, I never in my wildest dreams would I ever thought not only growing to 800 plus,
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily agent count. It's our production of 1.8 billion last year. Um,
With a
we're
B. Yeah.
we're ranked. We're the #3 single office independent brokerage in the entire country. So one
Wow.
location, and ranked as one of the top brokerages, obviously, in the country. But no,
Yeah.
it was never in our mind. As a matter of fact, there's a funny story because I love being a motivator. I love doing fun
Yeah.
stuff and getting in the mix of you know, with my staff. And I never forget, I just had this goal of hitting 300. And this was
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
ago. And I thought it was never going to happen. And I had a recruiter at the time that anything I told him to do, he would just put his head down and do it. So
Yeah.
I made this thing up, and it was right around the time the movie 300 came out, Spartan.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
I remember that one.
so I took the image that they used for the movie clip where it said 300,
Yeah.
and I put my recruiter's face. I photoshopped it for Leonidas.
Yeah.
And every morning I would walk in, I'd be like, Spartans, 300. We got to go for 300. That
Yeah.
it drove that man to get 300 agents because it was a game to him, and he was just so pumped
Right.
that he really thought he was Leonidas. He used to
Yeah.
run around the office going, "Tonight we dine in hell," and
Yeah.
so yeah, that's really good stuff.
Oh no, that definitely is some good
So
stuff.
so
And
no,
yeah,
that's
go
a
ahead.
good question. Um,
Yeah.
I'm, you know, I'm very spiritual. You know, when God changed my life radically,
Yeah.
I just seek His will. I don't chase the money. I don't chase the notoriety. Any of that. What I chase is, hey Lord, what do you got for me? If you want me to grow to this number, great. If you want me to move here, great. Which, quite honestly, the Lord did tell me to move because I only had that one location. And God's
Yeah.
given me a gift to be a blessing. I'm addicted to helping people. Like, I'm
Hmm.
addicted to watching somebody become successful. My wife and I, like, what drives us is getting somebody, pouring into them, and watch change their life. That drives us. But it's
Yeah.
also a double-edged sword, because here's why it's a double-edged sword. Because when you're passionate about something, it stings even more when something happens that either doesn't happen or somebody
Yeah.
screws you over. So the same type of passion when we pour into somebody to watch their success, when you pour into them and either they don't do it and they wound up going bankrupt or floundering to get out of the business, or B, completely screwing you over after you do it. But
Hmm.
that's not why I do it. It's so
Yeah.
so the whole thing with EXP, when that came along, speaking of Jake Hinder,
Yeah.
um, it was, all right, God, the Revelation's a one-off brokerage. That's a building, that's a culture. How could I take what you blessed me with and go bigger? So when he put that in my lap, and I talked to Glenn about this, saying,
Yeah.
people ask, why is Revelation still exist and you're at EXP? I go, Revelation is the polar opposite of EXP. And so my wife predominantly runs that brokerage, even though we're there with it. But EXP gives me now the platform to take the
Right.
skills that I'm blessed with and take it all over the country. and forced that environment to people, big producers pulling for each other, especially that honey badger group. It's just it's nothing like it. Here's the thing: it's an unstoppable force,
Right.
and it's the same thing with Revelation. It's an unstoppable force because of that. It's human connection. It's the bond. You know, Jim Rohn says, I think it was Jim Rohn. He says, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you have any kids, because you look.
No kids. No kids
you
here.
Are the kid. You are.
Knock on. Yeah, we'll knock somewhere. None that I know of. You know. Yeah.
So here's the ironic part. So any parent would relate to this.
Right.
As a parent, and I'm sure you even as a kid got it. Your parents would say, "Don't hang around with little Johnny over there. He's bad news.
Yeah.
Don't hang around with those kids. They're doing the drugs. Don't hang."
Yeah.
And why do they say it? They say because if you hang out with them, you'll become like that.
Yeah.
And yet we adults grow up, and the same stuff we fed, which is all true, by the way, our children, what we believe in, we don't believe anymore. We don't take that to heart. And it goes back to that intentional comment. Do you intentionally choose who you hang around with? No, you go through life. So here's a challenge. I'll challenge anybody out there. Here's my challenge. There's 3 things you want to look for. 5 people that you're most around.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what you need to sit and really think about that. Number 1 is, do they push you? Do they really push you to do better? Right?
Mm-hmm.
They help you rise up. And do they hold you accountable? Now, if you're going to measure those 5 people that are around you through those 3 things, and you can't answer that they do any of them, then the question is why do you hang around with them?
Yeah.
What's the purpose? You know, one of the things that I realized early on is I'm going to rid myself of toxicity. I'm going to rid myself of the crap of my life. Not because I think I'm any better than anybody else's, but I have a plan for my life. And if you're out there and you're not reaching the level of success, or you're thinking too small, like I did, I was 300 was a big goal for me. Who the hell would have thought I would get to 800 or to be in the billionaire club with social media? So it's intentionally choosing who you hang around with. I've gotten rid of the most toxic people in my life. And here's the other crazy part, Nick.
Yeah.
I get people that go, oh, they're not that bad. They just exaggerate a little. Or, sometimes I don't like hanging around with them. No, they're friggin' toxic. Get them the hell out of your life. Because if that was cancer in your body, if you went to the doctors and the doctor says, hey, look, I seen a spot. Not bad. It's just a little spot. It is malignant. It's cancerous. But just leave it in there. Because it's only a little spot. Anybody in the right mind goes, well, that's stupid. Because what's going to happen? That malignant thing is going to grow into bigger tumor, and it's going to spread, and it's going to kill your body. It's the same thing with people in your life. People make excuses for other people. People who are passive aggressive, get them the frig out of your life, because I've dealt with that.
Mm-hmm.
Toxic people. And then once you start living intentionally, going, who do you surround yourself? I'm going to tell you, I'm at where I'm at today, obviously by the grace of God, but my right-hand person is my wife, and she fills every one of those things. She's the first person to say that, and we all have our bad days. She'll be the first person to go like that. You're being a victim today. And sometimes I might not have a good response right away, but we pull each other out on it. And when you start living life like that, you start to realize you can't be around toxic people, around negative people. And then here's the crazy part. When you intentionally do that, your life will change. Your life will grow. It's not a magic thing. So anybody out there that has that little toxicity in their life, or they're not around the right people, don't play it off like, it's not that big of a deal. You want to be successful? It's a huge deal. Huge.
Yeah, and like you were saying about like the parents aspect, I can still remember, and I would say about 95, if not more % of the times, my parents were right when they're like, don't hang out with that person. But we always thought we knew better. So, and man, I'll tell you what, that little voice in your head, I still remember when I was telling myself that, like, they're not that bad. It's just a 1 or 2 off scenario, you know, and just letting things slide, and it builds up. But I'll tell you what, getting around the right people and seeing the right way to do things, treat people and how they do build you, that's what really changed it for me. Being around, as I see my mom just really liked that because she always watches my stuff. She's like, yeah, of course I was right. But being around Al Stasic and his team there is something that really showed me the better way of doing things, being around the right people and what it can really do for your mindset. And that's what changed it for me. So we talked a little bit, or you touched on it, about some of the things that you do in your office. Like you're saying you're cooking for the team, you know, stirring that big pot, and you were cooking for your team. What else do you do in your office over there that is just different from pretty much everywhere else that I've seen?
Every Monday morning, we do Monday Morning Mindset. We've been doing that for probably about 4 years now. The difference is, right, my wife's correcting me. Like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
she's the brains and the beauty behind the business. And here's the thing. Here's the difference. The biggest difference is, number one is we know how to sell real estate. We know sales. Number two is, and if we got a book, Mastering Your Real Estate Career, you can find it on Amazon. Want to check it out. But the other thing is we pour into people's lives. And this is not about business. People sit there and they think they could compartmentalize life and business. No, it's one thing. It's called friggin' life. And we treat it like that. We tell people what we go through, what we deal with, how we overcome it. We're real people with real success, and we're taking us from being broke to multimillionaires, and we're just going to continually to grow, and we just pour into people. So that's what we do different. We care, we give a crap, and we intentionally build our team that way. We just took 8 of our staff to Dave Ramsey's Entree Leadership. That's an expensive friggin' thing, but you know what? We pour into our staff to pour into our agents. As iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. Proverbs 27:17, that's what we founded the brokerage on. And you got to understand, when you really take that iron sharpens iron, this is not one person just helps one person. If you're helping someone, you're getting sharper too. And that concept is incredible. It's incredible.
No, that's a great point that you bring up, because if a lot of times when I've seen it happen too, when coaches are dealing with somebody in business, they focus on the numbers. They focus on what's going on inside the office. And I know personally myself, when stuff is happening outside of the office in my life, I can't perform as well as I think I should inside of the office. And
there's a school coming by. So
there's a school coming by. No, but I was saying, when things are going bad outside of the office, it's tough, if not impossible, to perform at peak performance inside of the office. And I've heard you say this before. You focus on everything. You focus on life, because when your life is built outside of the office, you're going to do nothing but improve inside of the office and everything around it as well.
Listen, if you're married out there and you're cheating on your wife or you're doing shit, you're going to have a miserable ass, not only personal life, you're going to have a miserable ass business. You see, if you don't get your shit together at home, you won't have your shit together in the office. And that's a fact. I can teach the best stuff, the best content all day long, but if you're sitting in the room and your mind's somewhere else, you're not only not going to hear it, you ain't going to retain it.
Yeah.
And that's life.
Yeah.
So Pat's going to die in about a few minutes, so I'm just letting you know.
Few minutes? All right, so let's get to, I got a couple more questions, but I'm going to skip to the last one. So the last one is, agents, that I think we're a unique breed, right? So with that being said, they have an entrepreneurial mindset. So when you're building a team, you almost get that scary when you build agents up that, man, I'm going to build them up and they're going to go be my competition somewhere else. So how do you give agents the freedom to be in that entrepreneurial mindset and also stay and work with you?
Well, number one is that's a scarcity mindset. If you focus on that and you think you're never going to make it, because there's so much opportunity out there. But one of the cool things is EXP has given that platform, which is, to me, the perfect marriage of entrepreneur and real estate. There's no better company that marries the two of these, that you could build a business and help somebody else build a business at the same time. And
Right.
it's an incredible platform. And once again, when you have like-minded people pulling for each other, truly pulling for each other, because
Yeah.
you all have the same end goal, it's an unstoppable force. And even like the Honey Badger group, just
Yeah.
to be surrounded by like Jay Kinder and Michael Reese and Albie and Daniel Beer and
Yeah.
Kyle, like the best of the best, and they're telling you their secrets to help
Yeah.
you succeed. That's the perfect place to foster if you're a business person that wants to build a business in this real estate industry.
So no, that's a great point, and especially with the Honey Badger group, I'm going to show something I haven't showed on the live here before. The Honey Badgers, we're staying true through and through with that one. that was a story with the Al Stasek that we might have to tell another time. Where we'll get into that another time here.
Yeah, he's a good man.
Yes, he definitely is. So with that being said, Chuck, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, partner with you and see what it even looks like, where would they reach out to you or your team at?
exceltraining@gmail.com. That's Sal, SELL. My wife's corrected me there. She helped me out. She'll tell you without her, I'd be nothing. They could reach out to me by email. They could, you want to see my testimony on the 700 Club? Email me. My phone number, 480-570-8020. Call, text me. Friend request me. I help agents all over the country, and platform. There's no other platform I could have done that in, and it's truly amazing. And it happened before EXP. I'd have agents reach out to me all over the country, and they'd say, "Man, too bad you weren't in my state. Too bad you weren't here." And so all of a sudden, when this happened, I'm like, "Whoa, Lord, you really just answered their prayers here, because." I'm in your state. I'm in every state, and hopefully I'm going to be in Italy one day, because I want to come work here half the time, man. So get some bucket lists, guys. Let's go big.
Yeah. So guys, we're going to drop that information in the comments below. If you guys want to reach out to Chuck, we're going to give you the right way to do it. Chuck, I appreciate it. Like I said, coming live from Rome, it's definitely a new experience for me to see someone come live from Rome. So I appreciate your time today. And remember, guys, Nick Krem Live is powered by ContentCards.com. That's Content Cards with the Z.com. Chuck, you got any closing messages for our audience out there?
Yeah, all glory goes to the Lord. God bless you guys. Have a great day, buddy.
Awesome. Yeah, you too, Chuck. Thanks for coming on.